YouTube live, and I'm here. Different book. I started reading this today. Basically, I'm having a very lazy day. I'm really tired, no energy. I don't know why, but it's okay to have these type of days. It's normal. It's good to relax. Don't beat yourself up for it. Give yourself time to recharge and all of that. I'm wearing a Nike tracksuit. I've never worn a tracksuit before. Don't know what made me wear this today, but it's okay. Basically, this book is called The Coaching Habit: Say Less, Ask More, and Change the Way You Lead Forever by Michael Bungay. He's a Wall Street Journal bestseller, and he has another book called Do More Great Work. And basically I got to this chapter, which is called How to Build a Habit, and I thought, okay, this might be interesting, and I feel like we should read this together to know how to build a habit, because I want to know. I would love to build some good, healthy habits, because it's hard, especially like meditating, journaling. Actually, I did build a habit of posting YouTube shorts every single day. That's a habit now. And then I did build a habit of journaling at least 4 times a week, minimum. So yeah, those are my little habits, and start small. That's my tip. But let's start reading this because I want to know. In which we unpack the real signs of how to change your behavior rather than relying on the myths and lies that you'll find on the internet. Even though you're watching me on the internet, I'm just reading a book. So relax, maybe play this in the playground and just read with me. Okay. The change of behavior at the heart of what this book is about is this: a little more asking people questions and a little less telling people what to do. But simple doesn't mean easy, and theory's no good if you don't know how to put it into practice. So before we look at what to change, we need to understand how to change it. You already know it's hard to change old ways of behaving, however good your intentions. Or is it just me who has sworn not to check email first thing in the morning and nonetheless found myself in the wee small hours, my face lit by that pale screen glow, intended to find inner peace through the discipline of meditation, yet couldn't find 5 minutes to just sit and breathe, committed to take a proper lunch break and somehow found myself shaking the crumbs out of my keyboard, evidence of sandwich spillage, or decided to abstain from drinking for a while and yet had a glass of good Australian Shiraz mysteriously appear in my hand at the end of the day. All that's less surprising when you realize that a Duke University study says that at least 45% of our waking behavior is habitual. Although we'd like to think we're in charge, it turns out that we're not so much controlling how we act with our conscious mind, as we are being driven by our subconscious or unconscious mind. It's amazing. Also, it's a little disturbing. There's always been a lot of information out there on how to change the way you behave, or more accurately, there's a dense jungle of misinformation that grows particularly lush at the turn of each year when resolutions are in the air. Have you heard that, oh God, I stuttered. Have you heard the one that says if you do something for 21 days, you'll have a new habit? Someone just made that up, and it now stalks the internet like a zombie, refusing to die. I didn't know that was a myth. No one told me. I believed in that, honestly. The 21 days thing, how it, do it for 21 days and you've built a habit. Well, I guess we found out it's a myth. Happily, there has been an increase of grounded findings based on neuroscience and behavioral economics that have helped clear a path over the last few years. To build an effective new habit, you need 5 essential components: a reason, a trigger, a micro habit, effective practice, and a plan. Let's keep going. Make a vow. Why would you bother doing something as difficult as changing the way you work? You need to get clear on the payoff for changing something as familiar and efficient, not the same, of course, as effective, as an old behavior. Getting clear doesn't mean imagining success, funnily enough. Research shows that if you spend too much time imagining the outcome, you're less motivated to actually do the work to get there. Why is this book calling me out? Leo Babauta frames a helpful way of connecting to the bigger picture in his book Zen Habits, Mastering the Art of Change. He talks about making a vow that's connected to serving others. Leo gave up smoking as a commitment to his wife and a newborn daughter. So think less about what your habit can do for you and more about how this habit will help a person or people you care about. 2. Figure your trigger. One key insight from reading Charles Duhigg's book, The Power of Habit, is this: if you don't know what triggers the old behavior, you'll never change it because you're already doing it before you know it. The more specific you can be when defining your trigger moment, the more useful a piece of data is. As an example, at the team meeting becomes more usable when I'm asked to check in at the team meeting, and becomes even more usable when Jenny asks me for feedback on her new idea in the team meeting. With that degree of specificity, you have the starting point for building a strong new habit. Let's keep going. Number 3, double S it, be short and specific. If you define your new habit in an abstract and slightly vague way, you won't get traction. If it takes too long to do, your big brain will find a way to hack your good intentions. BJ Fox works at tinyhabits.com, suggests that you should define your new habit as a micro habit that needs to take less than 60 seconds to complete. It's about getting really clear on the first step or 2 that might lead to the bigger habit. The double S guideline works particularly well for this book, as each one of the 7 essential questions fit that bill. Thank you! Is this my first live viewer? I'm so glad you joined. I'm basically reading this, but I'm gonna keep going. Practice deeply. This is number 5. For his book, The Talent Code, Dan Coyle researched why certain parts of the world were talented, hotspots for certain skills. Brazil, soccer. Moscow, women's tennis. New York, music. Think the Juilliard School. One key factor in each hotspot was knowing how to practice well. Coyle calls it deep practice. The 3 components of deep practice are practicing small chunks of the bigger action. For instance, rather than practice the whole tennis serve, you practice just tossing the ball up. Repetition, repetition, and repetition, and repetition. Do it fast, do it slow, do it differently, but keep repeating the action. So, please give me some good advice in your next letter. I promise not to follow it. I have no idea what this quote means. Please give me some good advice in your next letter. I promise not to follow it. By Edna St. Vincent Millay. What does that mean? What does it actually mean? I don't know. So, we're gonna keep going. And finally, being mindful and noticing when it goes well. When it does, celebrate success. You don't have to buy the bottle of Moet, although you can if you wish. A small fist pump will do just fine. Plan how to get back on track. When you stumble, and everyone stumbles, It's easy to give up. I may as well eat the rest of the cake, seeing as I've now had a slice. In his book, Making Habits, Breaking Habits, Jeremy Dean helps us face the reality that we will not achieve perfection in our quest to build the habit. We will miss a moment, miss a day, that's a given. What you need to know is what to do when that happens. Resilient systems build in fail safes so that when something breaks down, the next step to recover is obvious. Make your habit a resilient system. Put it all together. The new habit formula. In the Box of Crayons Coaching Skills Workshops, Box of Crayons is his business, the author of the book, by the way. We've increasingly focused on helping participants define and commit to specific habits rather than to the broad and rarely acted upon action list. To help people do that, we've drawn from some of the insights above and, after testing it out in the real world, created the new habit formula, a simple, straightforward, and effective way of articulating and kickstarting the new behavior you want. There are 3 parts to the formula: identifying the trigger, identifying the old habit, and defining the new behavior. Here's how it works. Identifying the trigger. When this happens, that's just the start. Okay. Defining the trigger, the moment when you're at a crossroads and could go down either the well-trod road of the old way of behaving or the Robert Frost path less trodden. If you don't know what this moment is, you're going to continually miss it, and with that, the opportunity to change your behavior. The more specific you can make it, the better. Charles Duhigg says that there are just 5 types of triggers: location, time, emotional state, other people, and the immediately preceding action. You can see how you might use a number of them to define a very specific trigger. For instance, bye! I hope you have a great day. Thank you for joining the live, and I love you. So, for instance, a trigger might be when I'm feeling frustrated, emotional state, in my weekly meeting, time, with Bob, people, because he says I haven't really thought about it, action. Identifying the old habit instead of. Articulate the old habit so you know what you're trying to stop doing. Again, the more specific you can make it, the more useful it's going to be. For instance, and to carry on the example above, I ask Bob, have you thought about X? And hope he'll get the suggestion that I've disguised as pseudo question, all the while thinking bad thoughts about Bob. So, defining the new behavior, I will. Defining the new behavior, one that will take 60 seconds or less to do. We know that the fundamental shift of behavior you're looking to accomplish through this book is to give less advice and show more curiosity. And what's great about the 7 essential questions that you're about to discover is that you can definitely ask people one in 60 seconds or less. So to finish our example, I will ask Bob, so what ideas do you have now? At the end of each chapter on one of the 7 essential questions, I'm going to ask you to build your own habit based on that question. We'll keep revisiting these concepts and give you some real examples for each question so you can see how the new habit formula and the question work in reality. And there's this little box, which is more. If you want to dive deeper into the latest findings about building better habits, download. Okay, I'm going to skip that. So, we're getting close to the end. A final word on building your coaching habit. This stuff is simple, but it's not easy. It's hard to change your behavior, and it takes courage to have a go at doing something differently. and resilience to keep at it when it doesn't work perfectly the first time, in brackets, which it won't. It's one of the laws of change that as soon as you try something new, you'll get resistance from somewhere, asking you in different strokes style, "What you talking about, Willis?" To counter the resistance, follow these steps, which are, okay, start somewhere easy. If you're going to manage something differently, pick someone who might be up for it and is willing to cut you some slack. Or pick someone with whom it's all going so badly that you've got nothing left to lose. 2. Start small. Don't try to incorporate all the ideas in the book all at once. Start somewhere and try to master one thing and get it in your bones. And after that, move on to something else. 3. Buddy up. Here are the support systems I've got around me to change and embed good behavior. A coach, a mastermind group, which has weekly check-ins and bi-weekly phone calls, another mastermind group, which checks in every 3 months, and 3 habit apps on my iPhone. And I already know this stuff. Get a friend or colleague involved and be each other's check-ins. Encouragement, practice, cheerleader buddy. Oh. One of the laws of change, as soon as you try something new, you'll get resistance. So when you feel that resistance, that, oh, like I hate this, oh, I can't do it, or like, whatever, your mind will play tricks on you. It will tell you to give up, like it's easier to not do it, it's easier to go back to your old ways. No, it's time to stand up against whatever that part of the mind is. So, get back on the horse. The habit will slip. It won't always work. You'll feel awkward as you sit in the place of learning known as conscious incompetence, an accurate, if slightly insulting phrase. It's through deliberate and regular practice that you will move to conscious competence, which is a much more pleasant place to be. I'm gonna leave it at that. Why did it get so hard to read by the end? I don't know, my little brain is trying. And you know, when you just read, especially out loud, it reminds me of school when we used to sit in a circle and basically each person would like read a paragraph. I'm sure you remember that. You know, each person would like read like a little part, a paragraph. I always laughed during those moments. I was so awkward. I found myself hilarious. Like, oh, look at me reading out loud. I've grown a long way since that time. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this, whatever this is. Oh yeah, I hope you go and make that habit happen. Do not give up. Believe in yourself. Keep going. Determination, consistency, and what's that other word? Discipline. Discipline. I love you. I'll see you in my next live, and go check out my other videos. If you did make it by the end of this one, I love you. I'll see you later.